water. Now imagine if you could add color to it and still maintain the free form of the liquid. That would be what
Hey, what's up everyone? It's me.
Now, I was never really a watercolor kid during art class. I mostly avoided it, to be honest with you. Cause, I kept ripping the paper.
I wonder why.
Only thing I was low-key good at with watercolor was mixing the colors. But that's about it. Oh, and making a mess across the entire table. I just recently learned about paper specifically made for watercolor painting, which I know, it's kinda embarrassing, but hey, it's better late than never, right? Also, my interest in this medium was solo carried by this one artist called kelogsloops. I never really liked watercolor, but when I saw his videos, it was just wow. The way he makes his art, it's just mesmerizing and inspiring to see, so I went ahead and ordered stuff he talked about in his materials video. I got the thick watercolor paper by Canson, 300 GSM, and I got the the cheap travel set by Lucas. It was about 15 to 16 quid, which it's pretty fine. It's pretty nice. I would recommend it. Also the white ink by Win and Newt. Pretty good, pretty solid stuff. I would recommend it as well. And yeah, for the jar, I'll be honest with you. I used a empty Heyyy jar, which I cleaned out thoroughly, and yeah, we use it as the mason jar for watercolor. A grand total came to something around about 35 bucks, which honestly,
nice.
You've heard it a million times before, but in order to be good at arts, you don't need expensive materials. And that goes for digital as well. You do not need to start out with a Cintiq right off the bat, okay? For example, I did this small painting with a cheap palette I just told you about, and I think it looks good. I like it. Considering this is my first ever thingy with watercolor. Also, don't get fooled by a seemingly limited palette. You can mix any color with these right here. Having some colors already available from the get-go just helps with the process long term, you know? For we want to use our time as efficiently as possible to ensure the biggest growth in the shortest time. But yeah, I can see why people call watercolor one of the harder mediums to use since it's so intuitive. You do have control of the piece until you don't. In a sense, you have a certain freedom, but also have to let the water guide you. You certainly don't have the classic 100% control, like with oils for example, but with watercolor, you just gotta feel it out somehow and, learn how to control the uncontrollable. Yeah. It's hard to explain, but if you ever mess around with it, you know how color and water don't always flow the way you want. But this exact randomness is such a unique characteristic for this medium, which is why I just had to try it out. It's really fun. I love shutting my brain off and just let my instinct take over.
You know when you gotta use your brain now?
Mixing colors! Yep.
I will shake it off and then...
So the way it works is color theory, but nah. But actually, yeah. I mostly use reds for the small painting, but let me tell ya, I was a little desperate when I was struggling mixing the skin tones. I had a hunch it was red and yellow, but okay, see here. In oils, you'd add white to increase the hue's brightness, yeah? Well, guess what you do with watercolor? You add water. The thing is, adding water will make your color not only brighter, but it will also desaturate it, and that's why a wet on wet technique is the best option, I think, in my opinion. You can still add some saturation to the lighter tone, if you're fast enough, that is. Since in watercolor you're supposed to work light to dark, whereas in oils you can do whatever, honestly, not a professional oil painter. Here, not so much. The one thing you can do is called lifting, but here's a catch, you gotta do it while the paint is still wet. Press down with a clean brush and you should have a blank spot again, kinda like particles and sparks, They say it takes a lot of planning working with watercolor, but honestly, my take on that is fuck that, bro, just let it happen. The beauty of an intuitive medium is that so freeform, colors can accidentally intertwine but still look good. Look at the watercolor gradients, they're so pretty for no reason. Oh, and when you mess up, just grab a piece of kitchen roll and press it down on whatever you want erased. Cause that's your eraser, your control Z, so to speak. The paper will just soak up whatever's wet, so be careful not to erase something you're already content with. Be patient and let it dry, okay? That's by far the one thing that could bother you, waiting for progress, especially when you're working on something big. But really, I kinda like it. I was like a kiddo staring at my little painting, jamming to music and waiting for it to dry. It's a whole vibe doing analog art. The one thing that instantly reminded me why I love making traditional art is the scent. I don't know, I love the smell of paint, getting it all over your hands and clothes, the sound of your brush brushing against the paper. It's just an artist thing, really. I feel like more people should talk about this one since I don't see many people mentioning this, but like screen time? Not even only as digital artists, but like people working with PCs, having monitors or screens in general stare at you for hours and hours a day as you get your work done is exhausting in a damaging way, honestly. Eye strain, eye fatigue, destroying your retina cells, dry and irritated eyes. Now, I'm not an expert, but it's kind of common knowledge that the lower your screen time, the better. And that's why this video is sponsored by the
Shadow Wizard Money Gang. We love casting spells.
Yeah, the whole point was just to say, I love being able to still make art and not having to look at a screen. I know, it sounds kinda weird, considering digital is way younger than traditional, but since we live in a digital age right now, analog becomes more special in a way, you know? Quickly and shortly, I'd like to take a moment and talk about how therapeutic watercolor was for me. Water itself is already a big theme in meditation and relaxation, but it's just seeing it in action up close with your own eyes. It was something else. Seeing the free flow movement and unapologetically mixing with one another, it was really beautiful, honestly, and it taught me something. Embrace. Be open and ever-changing while remaining yourself. Alright, you know I love philosophy, I had to sneak that in. So, yeah. Tell me in the comments down below if you ever tried watercolor yourself. To me, it felt like spiritual healing in a way, but I don't know if I can call it that. Thank you for watching this video. You can find me, my art, in the socials down below. For real, any support is very appreciated, and tell me what you want to see next. Okay, have yourself a good day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!